Mark Goddard has called a stop to this contest at 3 minutes, 33 seconds of round number 2. Declaring the winner by knockout, the last style bender, Israel Adesanya.
This guy right here is the guy that no one ever calls out, allegedly. But I want to test myself against everyone of this era who's a beast.
People, the casuals, they think this is the guy. Well, first of all, I think Brunson was the guy. Then Gastelum was the guy.
Yeah.
And then Whitaker's the guy. So they think this is the guy to beat me. So I'm like, all right.
Welcome back everybody to the Ultimate Breakdown here on Keenan KTV. In today's video, let's talk about the Israel Adesanya vs Yoel Romero fight. But before we do so, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you are new. So with that being said, let's jump right into the fighter cards. For the challenger, Yoel Soldier of God Romero, I gave him a 90 overall rating with 90 striking, 92 grappling, 86 stamina, 92 chin, 87 defense, and a 94 physicality attribute. Romero's standout attributes, in my opinion, are his physicality, which means how much he's able to impose his physical body onto his opponent and how much can he really do that a lot more than his opponent. Because he's such a massive fighter, he can absorb a lot of damage, he can walk down his opponents, and he can also take a lot of damage and not really get hurt by most of his opponents. Add on top his explosive striking, you never know when and how Romero will come at you. Looking over at his opponent, the champion Israel, the last stylebender Adesanya, has also a 90 overall rating. He has a 96 striking attribute, however, with 81 grappling, 94 stamina, 89 chin, 92 defense, and a 90 physicality attribute. Adesanya's standout attributes are striking and stamina, which shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody. He can go 5 rounds and he's virtually the best striker in the entire division. Now with these titans weighing in and ready to go, let us take a look at how the fight will really play out like. Unlike most breakdowns, I am not going to be talking about how each fighter is good at what they do. I think it is pretty clear what both are all about. Rather, let's kind of simulate how things will play out like in the fight, starting off with obviously the beginning of the fight. I know I haven't made my usual video part 2 essentially to why Adesanya would lose to Romero, so let's do that before the official breakdown. When you take a look at Yoel Romero, recently we have seen that there is a new pattern at which he likes to start off his fights with. He's very calm, he's very composed, and usually he likes to play possum for at least 1 round. This was shown in the second fight with Robert Whitaker, where he played very much so the passive fighter who was just there and essentially making the guy work and use up his energy. And because he can take a lot of damage, this really just essentially works in his favor, and he has pretty good defense to go along with it all. Against, for example, another very powerful, essentially titan mutant of a fighter in Paulo Acosta, this kind of worked against him because from the get-go, Paulo Acosta and Yoel Romero are kind of similar to one another. They are both very powerful, come forward fighters, whereas Paulo Acosta is a lot more monotone in his energy usage instead of Yoel Romero's very fluctuating high and low usage of energy. So because Paulo Acosta has a steady output, this put Romero up against the fence from the get-go, and against a very powerful and smart striker like Paulo, he ended up getting dropped and essentially a lot of damage was dealt onto Yoel Romero. But because he played it very calm and survived it all, in the third round he came back very strong, and this was exactly what happened against Robert Whitaker as well. In the first 2-3 rounds he was just playing very much so possum, just looking for a way in to get into Robert Whitaker, and also at the same time this made Robert Whitaker also very tentative. He never knew when Yoel Romero would strike at him, and when he would attack, it came at him very unexpectedly and it did a lot of damage onto the opponent. And against Israel Adesanya, this strategy is potentially a strategy that was made to win against Adesanya. Adesanya because of this reason. When you take a look at Adesanya, he's not a fighter who goes in for the knockout. He just looks to completely dissect the opponent, piece by piece break them down, and this really comes at a cost where Adesanya is looking to make the opponent throw something out there that can essentially work against them. Counterfighting essentially, right? But if Yoel Romero is going to be putting up his guard and just walk his Adesanya down, yes, sure, he may be eating a lot of jabs, he may get set up with a lot of feints, but because he's going to be able to take in a lot of damage, I would presume, especially in the very first round, I would have to believe that him walking down Adesanya is going to be the first step for him to get the victory. If he can back him up and if he can make Adesanya move unwantingly, then he can start to get a good rhythm and timing on how Adesanya moves himself. So within the first 2 rounds, he will start to know when to come in and how to come in on Adesanya. And because Adesanya likes to feint, fake step, and essentially just kind of get into the opponent before he actually throws a strike, he never goes and throws many strikes without a setup. This can essentially be a good indicator for Yoel Romero when to expect something to come his way. So Romero has a very good chance to explode onto Adesanya, and as we know, Adesanya has pretty good head movement, but he kind of tends to lean back, post up on the opponent because he has such height and reach advantage, which will work against somebody like Yoel Romero throughout the majority of the fight. But because you cannot really expect Yoel Romero to throw something textbook, perhaps that can really catch Israel Adesanya off guard, and maybe he can get started with a flying knee or just something crazy, something powerful that can really put Yoel Romero in a position where he can knock out Israel Adesanya. Now, will that happen? Only time will tell, but that is a reality, and that is how, in my opinion, Yoel Romero can defeat Adesanya. The longer the fight goes on, the more it is going to be favoring Adesanya because of his stamina and overall skill in the stand-up department. Yoel Romero has shown that he isn't really going to be relying much on his grappling anymore, essentially. Yes, sure, he can take down Adesanya, but can he keep Adesanya down? That is the main problem with Yoel Romero and his grappling, but perhaps he's going to be implementing it a lot more in this fight, but we'll see. If we're going to be looking at the entire fight and what both can do, we're going to be seeing that during the majority of the fight, the most activity will come from Adesanya, which will be backed up with very steady and equal output compared to Yoel Romero's very explosive and inconsistent activity. Now, because Adesanya is obviously the fighter who has a longer reach and who is taller, he will fight from the outside, but he will still be very active. Because, like I said, Yoel Romero will be pretty much so inactive from the opening of the fight, this will be a very important round for Adesanya to immediately get himself a good head start. If he can go to the body, I believe he will be doing himself a very good service in the later stages of the fight. Adesanya, he has tremendous feints. He is just a fighter who just sets up everybody. Look at what he did to Robert Whittaker. He just essentially set up Robert Whittaker to keep throwing the lead left hook, and he got him all figured out by the end of the fight and was able to counter it perfectly. With Yoel Romero, there isn't that much activity or consistent activity like there was from Robert Whittaker, because Robert is a very active guy. He will just keep throwing punches, and because of this gave Adesanya a lot more room and a lot more material to work with. However, against Yoel Romero, there isn't that much, so he really has to pull that out of Romero. And how can he do this? By, like I said, feinting and just making Yoel Romero think and feel cornered. If Adesanya can make him feel cornered, then he can get something out of Romero, and he can make Romero work when he doesn't want to work. And if he doesn't want to work, then, well, hey, Adesanya can go in there, jab him up, go to the body, head kick, leg kick, question mark kick, all from essentially the middle of the octagon. And if the fight keeps being fought in the middle of the octagon, then Adesanya is going to have a field day. He's just going to touch him up and start wearing down Yoel Romero. But the more Adesanya gets caught up in going after Yoel Romero, the more Romero's bursts and blitzes will be effective, the harder they will be to read. But Israel Adesanya is a smart fighter, and perhaps at some point there will be very boring stages in the fight. Perhaps. I think that is the most likely way the fight will be looking like. But then, unexpectedly, you can see the Olympic level wrestling from Yoel Romero to come out. Then you will see Yoel Romero go for the takedowns. Then you will see Romero mix it all up and make Adesanya work a different fight. Because you cannot really disregard the wrestling at all. Perhaps, yes, maybe Yoel Romero will not submit Adesanya, but that doesn't mean he cannot take him down and make him work. And the more you can make him guess, and the more this happens, the better it all will be for Yoel Romero. Because out of all the people in this division, Yoel Romero is single-handedly the best guy to do so. If Yoel Romero puts all his energy, all his power, all his weight into his takedowns, I think he can get him down. But the problem is he's so fast twitch muscle based, right? The more he does it, the faster he's gonna lose his energy, and that kind of works against his entire playing possum style in the stand-up. But we'll all see come fight night in the end anyway. So who do I think will win come fight night? I believe in this matchup, the last stylebender Adesanya will come out on top. I think his stamina, I think his smarts, his fight IQ will be keeping him safe from most of Yoel Romero's unpredictable attacks. I do believe Yoel Romero will be able to catch him, but the question is how flush, and the other question is can Adesanya take it? I do believe that throughout the majority of the fight, Adesanya will be able to keep control, but we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe Adesanya will be able to get it done, and I think if he's going to be successful in the very first round and going to the body, I think a late stoppage will not be too far-fetched, but I don't think it is in the nature of Adesanya to really force that type of a outcome. But we'll see. I think a unanimous decision will be the way the fight will probably go, but in the end, only time will tell what will truly happen. For now, this was the ultimate breakdown presented by Keenan KTV. Who do you think will win come fight night? Leave it all in the comment section down below, and as always, I have been Keenan from Keenan KTV, signing off. Later.